What if someone confessed to dozens of crimes, and most of them weren't even real? In the late 1970s and early 1980s, law enforcement across the United States was overwhelmed. Cases were piling up, unsolved investigations, victims with no answers. And then, one man seemed to solve everything. His name was Henry Lee Lucas. Lucas was already in custody when he began talking. At first, it seemed like a breakthrough. He calmly described crimes in different states, giving details that sounded convincing. Investigators listened closely, and what they heard was shocking. He didn't just confess to one crime or two. He confessed to dozens, then hundreds. Eventually, the number of confessions grew into the hundreds, making him seem like one of the most prolific criminals in history. For law enforcement, it felt like a miracle. Cold cases that had been unsolved for years suddenly had answers. Files were reopened, then quickly closed. One confession after another, case after case, closed. Families believed they finally had closure. Authorities believed they had finally found the truth. But something wasn't right. Some investigators started noticing inconsistencies, small details that didn't quite match, dates that felt off, locations that didn't align. At first, it was easy to ignore. After all, Lucas was confessing to so many cases across so many places. Mistakes could happen. But the inconsistencies kept growing. So they took a closer look, and what they found changed everything. Records showed that in some cases, Lucas couldn't have been there. He was in a different state, sometimes even in custody, miles away from where the crimes took place. It wasn't just one mistake, it was dozens, possibly hundreds. The confessions that once seemed like answers started to fall apart. So why would someone confess to crimes they didn't commit? The answer was unsettling. Lucas had learned something. He realized that by cooperating, by confessing, he was given attention, privileges, better treatment, longer conversations, food, comfort, and most importantly, control. He became the center of massive investigations, the man with all the answers. Investigators, desperate to close cases, sometimes fed him details without realizing it, and Lucas repeated those details back, making his confessions sound real, convincing, accurate, but not true. Over time, the truth became impossible to ignore. Case after case had to be reopened. Families who thought they had closure were left with questions again. The system that trusted those confessions had to confront a difficult reality. They had been misled, not by force, not by evidence, but by words, by belief, by the need for answers. In the end, many of Lucas's confessions were discredited, and what once seemed like one of the biggest breakthroughs in criminal history became one of the most disturbing examples of how things can go wrong. Because sometimes the most dangerous lie isn't denying a crime, it's admitting to one you never committed. And it leaves one question. If someone can convince investigators of hundreds of crimes, how many closed cases were never truly solved?